All Grown Up is a cartoon that aired on Nickelodeon from 2003 to 2008, created by Paul Germain and husband and wife team Arlene Klasky and Gabor Shupo, who were responsible for several Nickelodeon cartoons, such as Rugrats, Rocket Power, Our Real Monsters, and The Wild Thornberrys, which proved to be an absolute treasure trove of meme fodder. It all started with a special episode of the Rugrats titled All Growed Up, which aired in 2001 and serves as the pilot for the series. I actually found out about this episode by accident. I watched All Grown Up when it came out, at least about as much as I watched any cartoon back in the day, which was not religiously, and then came across this Rugrats episode as a rerun a short while after I stopped watching All Grown Up. I wasn't even looking for it, it just came on TV and I watched it. It doesn't seem to matter though, because apparently while I didn't watch the pilot when it came out, a staggering number of kids did watch it. An estimated 12 million, which was way more than the network had anticipated. They decided from the turnout that they simply had to make an entire series of it, and personally, I think they did a pretty great job, but I'm jumping the gun here, so before I get ahead of myself, let's talk about the premise. For those of you who have been in a coma since 1989, Rugrats was a cartoon that ran during the 90s and early 2000s about a group of babies who have fully formed personalities and can talk in near-perfect English, but for some reason never used their gift to negotiate better food and toys. That being said, some of Tommy's dad's inventions are fucking sweet. Have you seen the reptile wagon from the movie? All Grown Up features all of the original cast of the Rugrats, Tommy Pickles and his brother Dill, their cousin Angelica, Phil and Lil DeVille, the twins, Chucky Finster, Susie Carmichael, and even Chucky's stepsister Kimmy, who we first met in the feature-length movie Rugrats in Paris. The babies are now preteens, ranging in age from 9 to 13, and their personalities have developed since growing out of their diapers. Tommy, once the fearless leader of the group, is now an avid photographer and filmmaker with purple hair. His younger brother Dill, previously just the baby who couldn't talk like the other babies, has really come into his own as an eccentric genius and inventor like their dad Stu. Dill is on the spectrum, and it's part of what makes his character great. He doesn't give the tiniest fuck about what anyone else thinks apart from his brother, whom he idolizes a bit too much at first. Chucky is the same timid, accident-prone, goofy kid he was in Rugrats, but now he's obsessed with breaking the rules, which is as hilarious as it is awkward. His stepsister Kimmy now listens to alternative music, but for some reason doesn't think she's too cool to hang out with Tommy and his friends. It's good. I wish more people in real life were like that, to be honest. Phil and Lil are still thick as thieves, although Lil has matured a bit more quickly than her brother and wants to be popular and chase boys, but she still shares her brother's love for gross things, and their relationship is as strong as ever. Susie is the responsible one of the group, who gets good grades but secretly dreams of being a famous singer one day, and she's also friends with... Angelica is now 13, and... well... if you watched Rugrats, then you saw her as a 3-year-old. Now imagine how someone like that might turn out in 10 years, and that's almost exactly what you get. She is slightly more bearable now, but she's still the same selfish, loud, obnoxious, whiny little shit stain we all know and love, and she still hangs out with her cousin and his friends from time to time. I'd be really interested to see a series with these guys in their mid-20s, where Tommy is still making amateur films, temping at a bowling alley while he's waiting to hit the big time. Dill is on an FBI watch list for Googling how to build a bomb for fun, and Angelica is one of those social media influencers with 3 followers who walks into shops and demands they give her free stuff in exchange for publicity. Anyway, that's not what this is about. All Grown Up is about characters we know and love navigating the rough seas of adolescence. And to its credit, the writing is decent, the jokes are funny, the background music is good, the characters don't wear the same clothes for the entire series, and the messages it throws out are progressive without being patronizing, which is something that very few cartoons with morals seem to get right. Take Dill, for example. He's super weird. In one episode, even his imaginary friend leaves him to hang out with the cool kids, yet in spite of this, none of his friends make fun of him to the point of it being upsetting, and his parents are 100% supportive because they love him and they want him to be happy. In one episode, Principal Pangborn, whose girlfriend is a potted plant by the way, suggests to Stu and Dee Dee that he should take Dill under his wing and make him more normal. Dee Dee is outraged by this and rushes to her son's defense without hesitation and quickly shuts the principal down, which is such a great thing to watch because some people genuinely need reminding that it's okay to be yourself, and being normal is not the be-all and end-all. All parents want their children to be happy, but Tommy, Dill, Chucky, Kimmy, Phil and Lil all have parents who actively try and support that. Whereas Susie, for example, has parents who try and push her away from doing what she loves and more towards her studies, albeit with good intentions. Angelica, by contrast, has parents who are rarely around but give her everything she wants, thereby making her spoilt and self-absorbed. The show might be a bit confusing to some kids. One scene in particular comes to mind where Phil and Lil are arguing about who farted, and Lil says it's biologically impossible for girls to fart. I always wondered how many little girls watched that and thought there was something seriously wrong with them, like, what, does that mean I'm not a girl? Shit. Were my parents keeping this from me? The show has also aged pretty well considering, although they do still use plastic straws, but it's definitely aged better than Rocket Power. Granted, Rocket Power is older, but it also tries way too hard to be cool and ends up trapping itself in the 90s. All Grown Up, on the other hand, is less about trying to appeal to the youth and more just about great characters. It's also got a bit of adult humour thrown in, nothing too racy, but enough to get a giggle out of parents and sad YouTubers rewatching the series for reviews. I really love the relationship between siblings in this, particularly Tommy and Dill, and probably Phil and Lil most of all. These two are inseparable, and they complete each other despite their differences. There's this one episode where Phil falls for a girl and it splits the twins apart, and naturally, as you'd expect, Lil gets desperate when she feels she's losing her brother, and it's absolutely gut-wrenching. I almost cried, and I am a hollow shell of a man. On another note, I also love the show's use of dry wit, something that Americans are famously bad at, but the writers of this show got just right. In conclusion, can't recommend the show enough. That's it. That's the whole video. I don't have anything snarky to say at all. Fine. Tommy Pickles? More like Tommy, Dick Balls.